I'm Elena Zhang, and I learned early that success demands both brilliance and discretion. Growing up in a modest apartment above my parents' restaurant, I spent nights coding while other kids played video games. My sister Diana always rolled her eyes at my nerdy obsession. Elena, seriously? Diana would say, flipping her perfectly styled hair. You're wasting your life with computers when you could actually have a social life. But I had a vision. While Diana chased popularity, I chased innovation. My parents worked 16-hour days to put us through school, and I wasn't going to waste their sacrifice. By 23, I had developed a revolutionary AI security system. Google offered $75 million for it. I took the deal but kept it quiet. No flashy cars or designer clothes. Just strategic investments and careful planning. Then I met Michael. He walked into my favorite coffee shop one rainy Tuesday, drenched and laughing at his own misfortune. I offered him my spare napkins. Thanks, he said, his blue eyes crinkling. I'm Michael. Elena, I replied, watching him attempt to dry his expensive suit. Let me buy you coffee to repay your kindness, he asked. One coffee led to dinner. Dinner led to dating. Michael was charming, successful, and seemed genuinely interested in my work, even if he didn't fully understand it. 6 months later, we married in a simple ceremony. That's when everything changed. Diana had recently joined Neurotech, one of Silicon Valley's rising stars. She never knew I owned 30% of the company through various shell corporations. Elena, she smirked at our weekly family dinner, still playing with your little coding projects. You should let Michael handle the finances. Men are better with money. Michael squeezed my hand under the table. Diana's right, honey. You focus on what makes you happy. I'll take care of the business side. I stayed quiet, watching them exchange knowing looks. Something felt off. Late one night, I overheard them in Michael's home office. The board meeting's tomorrow, Diana whispered. Did she sign the papers? Not yet, Michael replied. But she will. Elena trusts me completely. Once she signs over her voting rights, we can push through the merger. Perfect. Diana laughed. She's too stupid to run a tech company anyway. Once Neurotech absorbs their assets, you'll be CEO and I'll be CFO. And Elena, she'll never know what hit her. By the time she figures it out, we'll have control of everything. I slipped away silently, my heart pounding. The next morning, Michael presented the papers with his usual charming smile. Just some routine business documents, honey, he said casually. Nothing important. I smiled back, signing exactly where he indicated. Of course, dear, I trust you completely. Michael kissed my cheek, tucking the papers into his briefcase. You're the best, Elena. Diana and I have a breakfast meeting, but I'll see you tonight. Actually, I said sweetly, I think I'll come to the board meeting today. It's time I took more interest in business, don't you think? His smile flickered for just a moment. You don't need to bother with that, honey. It's all very technical and boring. Oh, I insist, I replied, watching him squirm. After all, I just signed those important papers. The Neurotech boardroom buzzed with tension as executives filed in. Diana straightened her designer suit, shooting me a condescending smile. Elena. How? Unexpected, she said through gritted teeth. Shouldn't you be at home? I'm exactly where I need to be, I replied calmly, taking a seat at the far end. Michael entered with Mr. Harrison, Neurotech's CEO. His steps faltered when he saw me, but he quickly recovered. Everyone, please be seated, Mr. Harrison began. Today's agenda includes a significant announcement regarding company ownership and… Diana interrupted, practically glowing. Yes, about that. I have some papers to present. She pulled out the documents I'd signed that morning. Excellent timing, I said softly. I have some papers too. The door opened and my lawyer walked in, followed by 2 SEC investigators. Mrs. Zhang, my lawyer nodded. Shall we begin? Michael's face drained of color. Elena, what's going on? I stood smoothing my simple blazer. Let's talk about fraud, attempted corporate theft, and insider trading, shall we? Opening my laptop, I projected emails onto the screen. Hundreds of exchanges between Michael and Diana, detailing their scheme to seize control of my company through fraudulent means. You see, I continued, those papers you had me sign this morning, they weren't voting rights transfers. They were witness statements documenting your conspiracy. Diana leaped up. You're lying. You signed over your voting rights. We have proof. Actually, my lawyer interjected. Mrs. Zhang signed no such thing. The documents you're holding are inadmissible, obtained through demonstrated fraud. Michael's hands shook. Elena, honey, there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. I cut him off. I have recordings of you and Diana plotting in your office. I have documentation of insider trading based on confidential information you stole from my private servers. The SEC investigators stepped forward. Mr. Stevens, Ms. Zhang, you'll need to come with us. Diana's perfect composure cracked. This is ridiculous. Elena doesn't even own any significant shares in Neurotech. She's nobody. Mr. Harrison cleared his throat. Actually, Ms. Zhang, Elena owns 30% of Neurotech through various investment vehicles. She's our largest individual shareholder. The room erupted in chaos. Diana screamed accusations while Michael begged for a chance to explain. Security arrived to escort them out. As they reached the door, I spoke one last time. Oh, and Michael, I've frozen all our joint accounts. You might want to call a lawyer, a good one. The boardroom fell silent as the door closed behind them. Mr. Harrison turned to me, impressed. Mrs. Zhang, I believe we have some restructuring to discuss. I smiled, finally letting my professional mask drop slightly. Yes, we do, and please call me Elena. The next few days were a whirlwind of legal proceedings and corporate restructuring. Diana and Michael were charged with multiple counts of fraud and insider trading. Their perfect facades crumbled as the evidence mounted. My parents called, devastated by Diana's actions. How could she do this? Mom sobbed. To her own sister. Money changes people, Dad said quietly, or maybe it just reveals who they truly are. I threw myself into transforming Neurotech. The company needed fresh leadership and a new direction. I appointed Sarah Chen, a brilliant engineer I'd worked with years ago, as our new CTO. Then came the family confrontation I'd been dreading. Diana and Michael showed up at our parents' house during Sunday dinner, both looking desperate. Diana's designer clothes were wrinkled, her perfect makeup gone. Elena, please, she begged. Drop the charges. We're family. Family? I echoed. Was I family when you mocked my little coding projects? When you plotted to steal everything I built? Michael stepped forward. I made a mistake. I let greed blind me. But I really did love you. No, I said firmly. You loved what you thought you could take from me. You don't understand. Diana shrieked. I needed this. Do you know how hard it is living in your shadow? Always the pretty one, never the smart one. Our mother stood up. Diana, enough. Your sister earned everything she has. You chose shortcuts and lies. Mom. Diana gasped. How can you take her side? There are no sides, Dad interjected. Only right and wrong. And what you did was wrong. Michael tried one last time. Elena, think about my career. No one will hire me after this. You should have thought about that before attempting corporate theft, I replied calmly. Actions have consequences. They left defeated, but their problems were just beginning. The trial revealed even more corruption. Diana had been selling company secrets to competitors for years. Michael had orchestrated similar schemes at his previous firms. Both were convicted. Diana got 5 years in federal prison. Michael got 7, plus massive fines. Their carefully crafted reputations were destroyed. One evening, months later, I sat in my office overlooking the city. Sarah knocked on my door. Elena, the new AI security protocol is ready for testing. I smiled. Let's see it. As we worked late into the night, I reflected on everything that had happened. Success wasn't just about innovation or wealth. It was about integrity, about staying true to yourself even when others try to diminish you. My phone buzzed with a message from Mom. Dad and I are so proud of you, not just for your success, but for who you are. I looked out at the glittering city lights. Diana and Michael had thought I was an easy target, too naive to protect myself. They never understood that true strength comes from being underestimated, from letting people show you who they really are before revealing who you are. Neurotech thrived under new leadership. Our stock price doubled, then tripled. More importantly, we built something lasting, a company founded on innovation and integrity. Years later, I heard Diana was released from prison. She tried to contact me through various channels, promising she changed. Maybe she had. But some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. Michael wrote a letter from prison full of apologies and regrets. I never replied. Some betrayals cut too deep for forgiveness. Instead, I focused on the future. I established a foundation helping young women in tech, ensuring they'd never have to hide their brilliance or compromise their values. One morning, a young intern asked me the secret to success. I thought of all the nights coding in my parents' apartment, of Diana's mockery, of Michael's betrayal, and of the strength I found in staying true to myself. Success isn't about proving others wrong, I told her. It's about proving yourself right, and never let anyone make you feel small. They might just be afraid of how big you can become. The sun rose over the city, painting the sky in shades of possibility. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but I was ready. After all, I'd learned the most valuable lesson. The greatest power lies not in wealth or position, but in being underestimated and choosing exactly when to show your true strength. And that lesson, it was priceless.